Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is my third video for the topic methods to calculate national income. Today we are discussing expenditure method. So let's begin. Before we start with expenditure method, I would like to help you recall that when we were learning circular flow of income, we noted that there are three phases. That is production phase, income generation phase and expenditure phase. And this topic methods to calculate national income is based on these three phases only. In value added method, if you remember, we find out how many final goods and services are produced in an economy by calculating the value added by each production unit. And then to calculate national income, we take the sum of value added by each production unit to get an aggregate which is GDP MP. Then in income method, we calculate national income by taking the sum of the income earned by all the factors of production by rendering their factor services. So when we take the sum of the income of all the factors of production, we get domestic income and the aggregate NDP-FC. Now here in expenditure method, to calculate national income, we take the sum of expenditure incurred by the four sectors of economy. What are the four sectors of economy? Household, business firms, government and rest of the world. So whatever expenditure is incurred by these four sectors of the economy on the purchase of final goods and services, we take the sum. So what do we get after taking the sum? We get GDP MP. So when we add the expenditure incurred by household, by business firms, by government and by rest of the world, you will get GDP MP. So the formula is GDP MP is equal to private final consumption expenditure plus government final consumption expenditure plus gross domestic capital formation plus net exports. Now we are going to discuss all these components in detail. So first is private final consumption expenditure. Now this is the expenditure incurred by household on various consumption goods and services. जैसे कि household रोजाना में जो भी सामान लेते हैं, दाल, आटा, चावल, चीनी, वो private final consumption expenditure का part है. Along with household final consumption expenditure, this component also includes the consumption expenditure by old age home who are serving the household. So the expenditure which is made by the old age home on purchasing daily consumer goods, again like dal, atta, chawal, chini, जो भी वो खरीदते हैं, that is also part of private final consumption expenditure. So if you will see, I have written here, private final consumption expenditure is equal to household final consumption expenditure plus private non-profit institution serving household final consumption expenditure. But from exam point of view, please remember that you will directly get this component, private final consumption expenditure. Components will not be given to you in the numericals. This is only and only for your knowledge. Then next is government final consumption expenditure. Now this includes the expenditure incurred by the government on providing free services to the public like defense, law and order, education, health, etc. Also the salaries which are paid by the government and other such expenses of daily routine, they are also part of government final consumption expenditure. Then next is gross domestic capital formation, which is also known as gross investment or investment expenditure. Now as we all know that gross investment is equal to fixed investment plus inventory investment. So here also you will see that gross domestic capital formation is equal to gross fixed capital formation, which is the investment on the fixed asset plus inventory investment, which is nothing but the change in stock. Now from the numerical point of view, this is very important thing to be noticed here, that the two terms gross domestic capital formation and gross fixed capital formation, they are very much similar. And while solving the numerical, students at times they get confused. So don't get confused, read it very carefully in the numerical whether gross domestic capital formation is given. If it is given gross domestic capital formation, that means it is including the both fixed investment and inventory investment. But if the fixed word is mentioned in the term, then that means only fixed investment is given and you must add change in stock separately. Okay, so moving on. Then gross fixed capital formation, it consists of fixed investment by all the three sectors. By all the three sectors, matlab ki business firm, government and household. So let's have a look. ग्रॉस फिक्स कैपिटल फॉर्मेशन इज इक्वल टू ग्रॉस बिजनेस फिक्स्ड इन्वेस्टमेंट, जो भी एक्सपेंडिचर बिजनेस फर्म्स प्लांट एंड मशीनरी में करती हैं वो. देन ग्रॉस रेजिडेंशियल कंस्ट्रक्शन इन्वेस्टमेंट, जो भी इन्वेस्टमेंट हाउस होल्ड करता है इन द कंस्ट्रक्शन ऑफ न्यू हाउस और मे बी इन परचेजिंग न्यू हाउस, राइट. Then gross public investment. This is the expenditure incurred by the government on the construction of flyover, roads, bridges, etc. So fixed investment is consisting of fixed investment by all the three sectors. Again, from the numerical point of view, they are only going to give you this component directly, gross fixed capital formation. इसके अलग अलग जो components हैं वो आपको numerical में given नहीं होंगे, ठीक है. तो न्यूमेरिकल में इतना कॉम्प्लेक्स नहीं दिया जाएगा. देन लास्ट कंपोनेंट इज नेट एक्सपोर्ट्स. द फॉर्मूला इज, आई हैव रिटन हियर इन द ब्रैकेट, x माइनस m, दैट इज एक्सेस ऑफ द वैल्यू ऑफ एक्सपोर्ट्स ओवर द वैल्यू ऑफ इंपोर्ट्स. नाउ x स्टैंड फॉर एक्सपोर्ट्स एंड m स्टैंड्स फॉर इंपोर्ट्स. नाउ व्हाई आर वी एडिंग एक्सपोर्ट्स एंड वी आर सबट्रैक्टिंग इंपोर्ट्स? Because certain goods and services which are produced domestically, they are consumed by the foreigners, which are our exports. So we add exports. Some goods and services are imported from abroad, which are not produced domestically. So we subtract imports. So these are all components of GDP-MP. Now let's look into the numericals also. So for solving numericals, what you have to do is you have to locate all these four components in your numerical, right? So first is private final consumption expenditure is directly given 900. Then government final consumption expenditure is given. Then change in stocks is given to you. Then net domestic fixed capital formation. अब यहाँ पे दो चीजें हैं. First of all, instead of gross, they have given net. That means they have deducted depreciation and then the value of fixed capital formation is given to you. और यहाँ पे fixed word है, यानी कि आपको change in stock भी add करना पड़ेगा. अभी हम देखते हैं इसको न्यूमेरिकल में कैसे करेंगे. Then net imports are given to you. Net exports नहीं दिया, net imports दिया है, तो याद रखना है इसको आपको subtract करना होगा. So GDP-MP is equal to private final consumption expenditure plus government final consumption expenditure plus net domestic fixed capital formation plus depreciation. अब ये मैंने आपके लिए यहाँ पे ऐसा किया है, net domestic fixed capital formation plus depreciation. अगर आप चाहो तो depreciation avoid भी कर सकते हो, लेकिन फिर उसमें आपका aggregate GDP-MP नहीं रहेगा, वो NDP-MP हो जाएगा, because आपने depreciation include नहीं किया. We know that gross is before depreciation and net is after depreciation. तो अगर हम डेप्रिसिएशन ऐड कर रहे हैं तो हमारा जो एग्रीगेट है वो GDP-MP रहेगा. अगर आप डेप्रिसिएशन ऐड नहीं करना चाहते तो आप इसको NDP-MP कर देना. प्लस चेंज इन स्टॉक माइनस नेट इंपोर्ट्स. सो यू विल पुट द वैल्यूज एंड यू विल गेट द वैल्यू 1190 crores as your GDP-MP. Now from GDP-MP you can easily calculate NNP-FC. ग्रॉस से हम नेट पे जा रहे हैं माइनस डेप्रिसिएशन. अच्छा, एक चीज और, यहाँ न्यूमेरिकल में डेप्रिसिएशन गिवन नहीं है, सो वी कैन अवॉइड इट, राइट. सो माइनस डेप्रिसिएशन प्लस NFI है, बिकॉज यू आर गोइंग फ्रॉम डोमेस्टिक टू नेशनल. देन यू आर गोइंग फ्रॉम मार्केट प्राइस टू फैक्टर कॉस्ट, so you will subtract net indirect taxes, which is directly given to you in the numerical 150. Net factor income from abroad is also given, so put the values, you'll get the answer 1030 crores as national income. Coming to the next numerical, again look for the components. Private final consumption expenditure is given, government final consumption expenditure is given to you. Then here they have given you net domestic capital formation. यहाँ पे fixed word mention नहीं है, that means it is including both fixed investment and inventory investment. But one thing, they have given you net, not gross. So they have given you the capital formation after depreciation. अब यहाँ पे वही चीज है, अगर मैं नेट को लिखती हूँ, मैं नेट की वैल्यू को इंक्लूड करती हूँ और डेप्रिसिएशन ऐड नहीं करती, क्योंकि ग्रॉस पे जाने के लिए डेप्रिसिएशन ऐड करना पड़ेगा. अगर मैं डेप्रिसिएशन ऐड नहीं करना चाहती तो मैं GDP-MP की जगह क्या लिखूंगी, NDP-MP, और उसमें बाकी सब कंपोनेंट्स ऐड करूंगी. बट फॉर सिंप्लिसिटी हियर आई हैव टेकन नेट डोमेस्टिक कैपिटल फॉर्मेशन प्लस डेप्रिसिएशन. Now here depreciation is not directly given. The other name for depreciation, as we know, is consumption of fixed capital. So this is your depreciation. So GDP-MP is equal to private final consumption expenditure plus government final consumption expenditure plus net domestic capital formation plus depreciation. मैंने depreciation क्यों ऐड किया? क्योंकि मैंने GDP-MP लिया. अगर आप NDP-MP लोगे तो आप depreciation को skip कर सकते हो. Then exports minus imports, that is your net exports. Put the values, you'll get the GDP-MP as 345 crores. Then from GDP-MP you can calculate NNP-FC. अब मैंने depreciation add किया था तो मैं अब gross से net पे जाने के लिए depreciation deduct भी करूंगी plus NFIA minus net indirect taxes. Put the values, you'll get the answer. Net indirect tax is not given here directly. You are given the value of indirect taxes and subsidies. So net indirect tax is equal to indirect tax minus subsidies. So put the value, you'll get the answer as 295 crores. That is your national income. The last topic, precautions of expenditure method. So what all things you have to keep in mind while calculating national income using the expenditure method? First of all, expenditure on intermediate goods will not be included because we know that the value of final good already includes the value of intermediate goods. Then expenditure on purchase of second-hand goods will not be included because their value was included in the year these goods were produced. तो उसको दोबारा से include नहीं करते, second time include नहीं करेंगे, ठीक है? Because these are second-hand goods. जब वो जिस year में produce हुए थे उस year में उसकी value include कर ली थी. Expenditure on purchase of financial assets like share, debentures and bonds, it is not included because it is only transfer of ownership. No goods or services are produced here. We only and only include such transactions which are causing the flow of goods and services in the economy, current flow of goods and services in the economy. Expenditure on transfer payments will not be included because these are unilateral in nature. No goods and services are produced in return for transfer payment. Expenditure on own account production will be included. Now what is own account production? Where you are producing goods for self-consumption instead for sale in the market. तो हमने मार्केट में सेल करने के लिए प्रोड्यूस नहीं किया, सेल्फ कंजम्पशन के लिए प्रोड्यूस किया. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, farmer is having a small piece of land and he is only able to produce that much wheat which is sufficient for his family consumption. So instead of selling his wheat in the market, he is using it for family's consumption. So the value of that production will be included because it is involving the production of goods and services. I hope this much is clear, and all the three methods to calculate national income, you are able to understand them. So thank you so much for watching the video. Please like, share and subscribe.